So this is a little information module about different ways we might define how far something's gone. So we'll start to touch on concepts like distance and displacement, but essentially these things, or measuring how far something's gone, is really important for a whole bunch of different reasons and in different environments as well. So obviously golf, up there in the driving range or out on the course, it's really important how far the ball's gone, but there might be different ways to measure that. So one way of measuring how far something's gone is the distance. So distance is the total length of the path moved. So you can think about it like up on the picture on the top right hand side. If we move from point A to point B, or drive from point A to point B, we might cover a particular path, and we want to know what the total distance is. So how many, in this case, kilometers that we might have traveled. Or with a different example, it might be meters or any other sort of measurement there, but it's the total path traveled from point A to point B. It may or may not be in a straight line, and it's a scalar quantity, so it has a magnitude but doesn't necessarily have a direction, because that direction might be changing throughout the time that object is traveling. The other way that we can think about how far something's gone is to look at what we call displacement. So the displacement is the straight line distance between the start and the end, so point A and point B in an object's journey. So it doesn't necessarily the total path it's moved, but it's just that straight line between point A and point B. Because it's a straight line, we can also, that not only comes with a magnitude, but it also comes with a direction. So we can think about that picture there on the right hand side having a certain magnitude, or how big or how far they've gone, but in a certain direction relative to, say, a line vertical on the screen. So we can use that in examples like this one here, where with that rugby player, we might be interested in how far they need to go to the try line. So some might be talking about how far in terms of the total path travelled, so how far they actually need to travel to get there. And the other way you might define it is the straight line between start and finish. So you might say that they're 60 metres away from the try line, or they travelled 60 metres. But that would be displacement, whereas the distance might be more than that. Sometimes distance and displacement are basically measuring the same thing, or they have the same magnitude. So in a 100-metre sprint running example, you might look on the left-hand side. If we just run in a straight line and we travel 100 metres, that's the distance that we've travelled, but it's also the displacement. It's the straight line between start and finish. Whereas you take the swimming example on the right-hand side, if we're in a 50-metre swimming pool, for example, we might travel up the pool and back down to the bottom of the pool. We essentially haven't displaced anywhere. We finish in the same spot as we start. But the total distance we cover is also 100 metres. So distance sometimes is the same magnitude as displacement, sometimes it's not.